Good morning, everybody. I'm so glad to see you again. I'm here today to talk about the gingerbread man. Ooh, I was going to say gingerbread cookies, but we will talk about cookies today too. So, do you like gingerbread? I like gingerbread okay, but if I had to choose between gingerbread or sugar cookies or chocolate chip cookies, I'm going to choose chocolate chip cookies every time. But today we're talking about the gingerbread man, and it is not just about a cookie. It's about a story of a man that he's a cookie. Take that part out. It's a great story, and this year you're going to be reading two different versions. I like this because this way we can read about two different versions of the gingerbread man, and we can compare and contrast what's going on in the stories and the differences that you see and things that are the same. Okay, so this week somebody will be reading those to you, and make sure you make note of those things. But today I'm here to talk about the last day of the week. What we do is the celebration of learning. So it's kind of a, everything we talk about what took place this week, but also we're going to do a little experiment today, which I hope is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be fun for me. You'll see. All right, so first, as we always do, we talk about our vocabulary words, or we call them our advanced words. And we want to look at those because it's important that you're writing these words out and you're identifying some of the letters with your children, okay? All right, so first we're going to start with solid. Now, I know we've talked about solid before. Can you remember what we talked about when we were talking about solids? I'm going to give you a second to think about it. Okay, I hope you remembered that a few weeks ago we were talking about solids, liquids, and gases. And we talked about things in the solid form still hold their shape. So look what I have here, a cookie, okay? This cookie is a solid, all right? So let's spell solid together. S-O-L-I-D, solid. Very good. Okay, and this is a good time to, try to identify some of these letters that you know, kids, okay? And if you want to, trace the word or write the word out with that extra space that you have right there, okay? All great ideas. Grab a pencil if you like. Pencils are perfect for that. Hopefully you've been receiving those in your bags that we prepare for you to go along with your lesson plans. Maybe we'll put some more pencils in there soon, just in case you've already been using that one and you may need a new one. Okay, solid. So what happens to a solid if you heat it up? What happens to a solid if you heat it up? Okay, all right, let's think about it this way. So what happens when you see an icicle hanging outside because it's so cold out and it snowed and the temperature's dropped and you see a little icicle hanging? What happens to that icicle as the day goes on and the sun comes out? What happens? Very good. It starts to melt. So melting is our word today. Wonder why we're talking about melting this week. We're talking about a gingerbread man and we're talking about melting. Can you tell me what we're talking about? What is melting? Good, it's when you heat something up and it goes from that liquid state, or from the solid state, to the liquid state. Very good. Melting, let's spell it together. M-E-L-T-I-N-G, melting. Good. Do you remember when we were talking about solids earlier, that lesson, solids, liquids, and gases? And we talked about melting that week. What experiment did I do with you that was about melting? Do you remember? I'll give you a minute to think about it. Okay, good. It was when we had the ice. Remember? I had the ice in 3 different containers. I had it in what type of containers did I have? There are different types of containers. Glass, good. What else? Metal and plastic. Very good. And I put a piece of ice in there, and we looked at how long it took to melt in each one of those containers. Good. So we're talking about melting again this week, but we're going to be looking at something else. This time for the experiment, we're going to be using a cookie. instead of a piece of ice, which sounds a lot better to me. All right, our next word is liquid. Okay, liquid. L-I-Q-U-I-D. What letter do you see that's the same? There's two of the same letters in this word. What do you see? Good, an I. Very good. Here and here. Good. And liquid is something that goes from solid. Here's the liquid state, okay? And you notice this is milk, my friends, okay? And this was in a liquid state. Okay, very good. So hopefully you've written these words out. Remember, post them up, identify some letters, practice tracing the letters, and also practice writing out the letters that you know in the space provided, okay? All right, so now, you know, we've been talking about the gingerbread man this week, and we've been reading the story. What happens to the gingerbread man? Something in the story happens and he falls. And do you remember what he falls into? It's wet. What is it? Good. He fell into the river and he got wet, okay? So we want to talk today about what would happen if the gingerbread man fell into the water. What happens to the cookie, okay? The cookie part of him. All right, so as you're doing this experiment at home, you can use what I'm using, a chocolate chip cookie, or you can use a sugar cookie, gingerbread cookie. I didn't have gingerbread at home, gingerbread cookies. Remember what I said? Which cookies are my favorite? Yeah, chocolate chip cookies. I'm going to choose those every time, okay? So I have those. Use whatever you like, whatever you have at home. And then liquid. The lesson plan says to use water. Now, why would I want to dip a cookie into water? No. What do you dip cookies in? Milk. Exactly. All right, so I have milk. So these are the things you're going to need at home. You're going to need a cup or a bowl with some milk in it, and you're going to need a cookie. Now, make sure that everybody in the house gets to try this, but remember, some people in the house, in your family, may like to drink the milk at the end. So you have to discuss. I might drink the milk and I might not. But you have to discuss who's going to be drinking the milk at the end, okay? Because that's important. All right, so what happens? The gingerbread man, he's going along and he falls into the river. Does he stay there very long? Well, sure, he's got to get up, doesn't he? So he gets up and then we look at the cookie. So, all right. Notice now the cookie is wet. Let's see how it feels. What does it feel like? It's still a pretty solid cookie, okay? It's definitely not liquid and it didn't fall apart, so I have a good cookie here, okay? So I'm going to put the cookie back in a little bit longer, this time for 10 seconds. You want to count with me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh my goodness, I felt the cookie move a little bit down there. So I can see when I touch the side of the cookie. Now look as it is. I think the camera's a little bit lower than I was holding it. Notice it's mushy now. What does mushy mean? When you push on it, it no longer holds its shape. It kind of falls apart. Do you like the mushy part of the cookie? Let me see it. I do. I like the mushy part. It's good. All right, so we can take a bite now. I think we should take a bite now. Okay. Okay. Yes, this is a good cookie. Now I can see that on the side where I dipped the cookie into the milk, it's not only wet, right? So what happened to the cookie when it got wet? Do you remember? I hope you're trying this at home and you're telling me, yes, it kind of broke apart, it kind of mushed together, and we ate it, and it's good. What else do we see on our list of questions? What other things do you think can melt? Well, let's think of some things that can melt. We talked earlier about ice, right? So if there's an icicle hanging on your house because it snowed and the temperature dropped, that icicle can melt. Good, okay, so ice, just like our ice experiment. What else can melt? Snow, right? I hope it snows soon. Snow can melt. It goes from the solid state to the liquid state by means of melting. All right, so I hope you've had fun today. I hope everybody made some cookies or had some store-bought cookies and you were able to dip it into the milk or whatever liquid you wanted to, and you got to eat it as a family. And hopefully you do more of that during this cold winter season. All right, well, thanks for joining me today with the Gingerbread Man stories and experiments. All right, have a lovely day. Enjoy.